She walked into my home uninvited. She had a clipboard, a fake smile, and the audacity to tell me what I could and couldn't do with my property. Within minutes, she was threatening to fine me $500 a day. But what she didn't know? I had been waiting for someone like her to make a mistake. And when I responded, her face went completely white. Like and subscribe right now, because you're about to see how I absolutely destroyed an HOA president who thought she could bully me. This is a story about justice, standing your ground, and using the law to stop someone from stealing your peace. Don't miss what happens next. My name is David Chen. I'm a 54-year-old contractor who has spent the last 30 years building houses, fixing roofs, and creating spaces where families can make memories. I never thought I'd have to fight to keep my own home. But that's exactly what happened when I moved into Maple Ridge Estates. The neighborhood looked perfect when I first saw it. Quiet streets, well-maintained lawns, and homes that all seemed like they belonged in a magazine. The real estate agent told me the HOA fees were $150 a month, and they kept the neighborhood looking beautiful. I thought, why not? I work hard. I deserve to live somewhere nice. I bought my house in March 2023, a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial with a detached garage and a small backyard. It was my dream home. After 30 years of renting apartments and staying in temporary housing because of work, I finally had something that was mine. I signed all the HOA documents without really reading them. I know. That was stupid. But I was 54 years old and excited. I didn't think there would be any problems. That's when Karen entered my life. Her name was actually Patricia Hoffman, but everyone in the neighborhood called her Karen. She was the HOA president. And I mean the HOA president. She didn't just manage the HOA. She controlled it like she was running a fascist regime. Patricia was 63 years old, retired, and had been the HOA president for 12 years. 12 years. That meant she had power, and more importantly, she had gotten used to people listening to her without question. She lived 3 houses down from me, and I noticed her immediately because she was always outside, pointing at people's lawns, taking photos, and writing things down on a clipboard. But I didn't think she would be a problem. I bought my house. I paid my HOA fees. I wasn't doing anything wrong. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything could go wrong. It started small. Too small to be a real problem, or so I thought. 2 weeks after I moved in, I got a letter. Official letterhead. Maple Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. It said that my trash cans were visible from the street for more than 24 hours after pickup. The fine was $50. I laughed. I thought it was a joke. I had put my trash cans out Wednesday night for Thursday morning pickup, and I brought them in Thursday evening. That's it. That's normal trash can behavior. But apparently, according to the HOA rules, trash cans could only be visible for 24 hours total. Not 24 hours after pickup, 24 hours period. I paid the $50 fine and moved on. I thought it was just a misunderstanding. Then came letter number 2. 3 days later. Your front porch light is not white. HOA regulations require all external lighting to be warm white, 2700 K color temperature. Your light is yellow, 3000 K. Please replace within 7 days or face a $100 fine. I stood in my front yard and stared at my porch light. It looked normal to me. It looked like every other porch light I'd ever seen. But I didn't want to fight over a light bulb. I went to Home Depot, bought a new bulb, and installed it $100 fine anyway. Because the receipt showed I had bought it on the wrong date. By the end of my first month, I had received 6 violation letters. My mailbox had become a delivery system for threats wrapped in official-looking paper. Violation Takark 3 Das. Your lawn grass is 3.5 inches tall. HOA regulations require grass to be between 2 and 3 inches. Fine, $75. Violation. Your garage door has visible wear marks. Please repaint within 14 days. Fine, $150. Violation. Bad. Your bedroom window blinds are blue. HOA color regulations only allow white, beige, or gray window coverings. Please replace immediately. Fine, $200. Violation der 6 Your car was parked on your driveway for more than 4 hours without being garaged. HOA regulations require vehicles to be stored in garages. Fine, $50. I was getting fined for things that made absolutely no sense. I was getting fined for my own property, for decisions I was making on my own house. That's when I decided to meet the woman behind the madness. I walked down to Patricia's house on a Saturday afternoon. I was calm, professional. I just wanted to understand what was happening. I knocked on her door and she answered immediately. Like she had been waiting for me. She was wearing expensive clothes and had her gray hair styled perfectly. She had the smile of someone who had never been told no in her entire life. "Mr. Chen," she said before I could even introduce myself. "I've been expecting you? You have?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Of course, you're the new homeowner who doesn't understand the standards we maintain here at Maple Ridge Estates. I have a file on you." She held up a thick folder with my name on it. My stomach dropped. "Come in," she said, gesturing me inside. "Let's talk about your property." I stepped inside her house, and I realized immediately that she had turned HOA management into a full-time obsession. Her dining room table had stacks of folders. Her walls had photos of violations. There was a huge spreadsheet on her computer monitor showing the status of every house in the neighborhood. This woman had turned violation hunting into her life's purpose. "Mr. Chen, I want to help you," she said, sitting down and crossing her legs. "But you need to understand something. Maple Ridge Estates is not like other neighborhoods. We maintain standards here. High standards. When people move here, they're choosing to be part of something special. That means following the rules." "But Patricia," I said, "some of these rules don't make sense. My garage door has wear marks because I've been parking cars in it and opening it thousands of times. That's called normal use." She leaned forward. Her eyes got cold. "It's Mrs. Hoffman," she said, "and I don't care about normal use. I care about standards. And more importantly, Mr. Chen, I care about property values. This neighborhood is worth money because we maintain it. If people like you come in here and let things go, property values drop. Everyone loses." "So you're saying I need to repaint my garage door because it affects property values?" "Yes," she said simply. "And your window blinds. And you need to be more careful about when you park on your driveway. And your lawn needs to be exactly 2.5 inches, not a quarter inch over or under." I stood up. I was starting to get angry. "Mrs. Hoffman," I said, "I'm a contractor. I've been in the construction business for 30 years. I know how to maintain a property. I don't need you telling me how to live in my own house." She stood up too, and she smiled. That cold, cruel smile that made me understand she wanted me to push back. She wanted a conflict. "Mr. Chen," she said, "let me show you something." She walked to her computer and pulled up a document. "This is the HOA bylaws," she said. "Specifically, Article 7, Section 3, Paragraph C. It says that the HOA president has the authority to enforce all rules and can levy fines up to $250 per violation, or $500 per day if violations are not corrected within the specified time frame. Do you understand what that means?" I understood exactly what that meant. She was threatening me. "It also means," she continued, "that if you continue to violate HOA rules, we can place a lien on your property. After 90 days of unpaid fines, the HOA can foreclose on your home and sell it to recover the fines owed. It's all in the document you signed." My blood ran cold. I had bought my dream home, and I had accidentally signed a document that gave this woman the power to take it away. "You can't be serious," I said. "I'm completely serious," Patricia replied. "I've done it before. There was a homeowner on Oak Street who didn't listen. He thought the rules were ridiculous, too. Guess what? He lost his house. The HOA paid $320,000 for it during the foreclosure sale. We auctioned it off and made $400,000. The former owner got nothing. I left her house shaking, genuinely shaking. Over the next month, things got worse. So much worse. Patricia started sending me violation letters twice a week. She was finding violations that didn't even exist. She claimed my mailbox was the wrong shade of black. She said my roof shingles had too much wear. She said I had parked my personal truck in my driveway too many times. The fines were piling up. In just 6 weeks, I had accumulated over $3,500 in fines. And then came the letter that changed everything. Dear Mr. Chen, after 60 days of continued violations and non-compliance with HOA rules, the HOA board has voted to assess a special lien against your property in the amount of $3,147.50. If these fines remain unpaid for 90 days from the date of this letter, the HOA reserves the right to initiate foreclosure proceedings against your home. You will be given 30 days' notice before any foreclosure action begins. I held the letter in my hands, and for the first time in my adult life, I felt genuinely afraid. I had spent 30 years building wealth, and this woman was threatening to take it all away. Because my garage door had wear marks, I called a lawyer, a real estate attorney named Marcus Thompson who specialized in HOA disputes. Are they serious? I asked him after explaining everything. Completely serious, he said. But here's the good news. They have to follow the law. And in most cases, HOAs overreach their authority. Let me look at your documents. I sent him copies of all my violation letters and the HOA bylaws. 3 days later, he called me back. David, he said, I have found something very interesting. Are you ready to fight back? I'm ready, I said. Marcus told me something that made everything make sense. Patricia Hoffman had been committing fraud. Here's what we discovered. The HOA bylaws stated that all fines had to be issued by the full HOA board, not by the president alone. But Patricia had been issuing fines unilaterally. She had been making up rules that didn't exist in the official bylaws. She had been charging fines that exceeded the legal limits. And most importantly, she had been keeping detailed records of her illegal actions in a file she left sitting on her dining room table. When I had visited her house, I had seen that file. I had seen the violation photos, the fines, everything, and I had realized she was running a personal extortion scheme using the HOA as her weapon. Here's what we're going to do, Marcus said. We're going to file a complaint with the State Attorney General's office. We're going to document every illegal fine. We're going to subpoena her records, and we're going to show that Patricia Hoffman has been committing fraud against the residents of Maple Ridge Estates. I felt a shift inside me. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't afraid anymore. I was angry, but I was the good kind of angry. The kind of angry that makes you stand up and fight back. Marcus did the filing. Within 2 weeks, the Attorney General's office sent Patricia a notice that they were launching an investigation into the Maple Ridge Estates HOA, and then things got beautiful. I requested public records from the HOA, every fine issued, every vote taken, every document. Patricia had been sloppy. She had issued fines that weren't even backed by real violations. She had created fake violations. She had changed the bylaws without a proper vote. Everything was documented. I discovered that Patricia had been doing this for years. She had collected over $470,000 in illegal fines from homeowners over the past 12 years. And most of the homeowners never even realized they were being illegally fined because they just paid and moved on. But I didn't move on. I started talking to the other homeowners, and I found out I wasn't alone. Mrs. Garcia, who lived on Elm Street, had paid $900 in fines over 3 years for violations. That didn't even exist in the bylaws. Mr. Patterson had received a violation for excessive garden gnomes, a rule that wasn't in any official document. Another homeowner had been fined because her daughter painted her bedroom wall purple, and Patricia could see it through the window. These weren't isolated incidents. Patricia had been systematically extorting money from her neighbors for over a decade. So I organized. I called a neighborhood meeting. I sent out flyers explaining what I had discovered, and I asked people to show up. 47 homeowners came. 47 out of about 120 total homes in the neighborhood. At that meeting, I presented the evidence. I showed the bylaws and the violations that didn't match. I showed the files I had obtained, and I explained the Attorney General's investigation. The room erupted. People who had been silent victims for years finally felt empowered to speak up. They shared their stories. They showed their violation letters. And they all said the same thing. They were tired of being bullied by Patricia Hoffman. "We need to remove her from power," I said. "And we need to get our money back." The next day, I filed a formal complaint with the HOA board requesting an emergency meeting to vote on Patricia's removal. According to the bylaws, the board had to hold that meeting within 10 days. Patricia panicked. She sent me an email that I still have saved. "Mr. Chen, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're making a big mistake. I have the support of the board. You have nothing. Back off or you'll regret it." But she was wrong. I had the support of 47 homeowners and the Attorney General's office. The emergency board meeting happened on a Friday night. It was held in the community center, and it was packed. Nearly every homeowner who could make it came. Patricia showed up in a power suit, looking like she was ready for war. She had 2 board members with her, people she had clearly convinced to stand by her. But the other 2 board members looked uncomfortable. They knew what was coming. The board president called for the vote on Patricia's removal as HOA president. It was only supposed to be an internal board vote, but I stood up and asked to speak first. "I have evidence of systematic fraud," I said loudly, so everyone could hear. "I have documentation of illegal fines, fake violations, and extortion. I have filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office, and I have over 40 homeowners who are prepared to testify about illegal charges." Patricia stood up immediately. "This is slander," she shouted. "This is harassment. I've kept this neighborhood beautiful for 12 years. You've extorted money from your neighbors for 12 years, I replied. My voice was calm but steady. "You charged Mrs. Garcia $800–900 for violations that don't exist in the bylaws. You fined people for things in their own bedrooms that you could see from the street. You changed rules without a proper vote. And you kept $470,000. That didn't belong to you." The room went silent. One of the board members who had looked uncomfortable stood up. "I move that Patricia Hoffman be immediately removed as HOA president and that we conduct a full audit of all fines issued over the past 5 years," he said. "I second," said the other board member who had looked uncomfortable. The 2 board members who were with Patricia looked at each other, clearly realizing they were about to be voted out too if they didn't switch sides. "I also vote to remove Patricia Hoffman," said the 3rd board member quietly. The 4th board member hesitated for a moment, then said, "I vote yes as well." It was unanimous. Patricia Hoffman was removed from power, but that was just the beginning. Over the next 3 months, Marcus and I worked with the new HOA board to conduct a full audit. Every single fine issued by Patricia was reviewed, and almost 80% of them were deemed invalid because they violated the bylaws or were for violations that didn't actually exist. We calculated that homeowners were owed approximately $385,000 in refunds. Patricia tried to fight it. She hired a lawyer. She claimed she was just doing her job. She said the homeowners were just complaining because they didn't want to follow rules. But the Attorney General's office had already launched its investigation. And when they looked at Patricia's personal bank account, they found something interesting. She had transferred $470,000 into a separate account over the past 12 years, an account that corresponded exactly with the fines she had issued. She was charged with fraud. The case went to court in August 2024. Patricia was convicted of 3 counts of wire, fraud, and 2 counts of theft. The judge sentenced her to 18 months in prison and ordered her to pay full restitution to the homeowners she had defrauded. The restitution came to $385,000. When the judgment came down, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. I got a check for $3,847.50, every single penny. I had been fined, plus interest. Mrs. Garcia got $8,900 back, Mr. Patterson. Got his money back. All 47 homeowners who had stood up and fought back got their money back. And Patricia Hoffman went to prison. But here's what I learned from this whole experience. The real lesson. The thing I want to share with you. First, never be afraid to question authority, even when that authority seems official or powerful. Patricia had a title. She had official letterhead. She had the ability to send letters that looked legal. But that didn't make her right. When something felt wrong, I investigated, and I was right to do so. Second, document everything. When Patricia sent me those violation letters, I saved every single one. I kept receipts. I took photos. I kept records. When you have documentation, you have power. Karen had documentation too, but her documentation proved her guilt, not her innocence. Third, you're not alone in your struggle. I thought I was the only one being targeted. But when I talked to my neighbors, I discovered that dozens of people had been suffering the same abuse. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is speak up first, because once you do, others will find courage too. Fourth, the law exists to protect you. I was intimidated because I didn't know my rights. But once I hired a lawyer and learned what the actual bylaws said, I realized that Patricia had been breaking the law the entire time. She had been counting on homeowners not knowing their rights. Don't let fear keep you ignorant. Learn your rights. Know what people are legally allowed to do and not allowed to do. Fifth, justice doesn't always look the way you expect it to. I thought I would have to fight Patricia for years. I thought it would be complicated and messy. But when I found the evidence of her fraud, everything changed quickly. Sometimes the person who seems powerful is actually fragile. Sometimes the person who's been bullying you has been breaking the law the whole time. When you have truth and evidence on your side, you don't need to win a shouting match. You just need to show the facts. To Patricia, wherever she is. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned that you can't use your position to hurt people. I hope you learned that there are consequences for fraud. And I hope you learned that people like me don't give up just because someone with a title tells us to. To everyone watching this, if someone is treating you unfairly, if someone is taking advantage of you, if someone is using their power to bully you, stand up. Fight back. Document everything. Find allies. Learn your rights. And never, ever back down. The HOA Karen tried to take my property. She tried to use intimidation and fake authority to steal my money. But I responded with something she wasn't expecting: preparation, evidence, and courage, and she lost. Like this video and subscribe to the channel right now, because I'm going to keep sharing stories about people who stood up to bullies and won. And you need to hear these stories so you remember that you can win too. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video where we talk about what really happened after Patricia went to prison. And it's even crazier than this.